Waves crash with majestic power, their rhythm echoing the pulse of Mother Earth itself. Similarly, the GSXR-150, packed with raw, unbridled energy, gives you the perfect combination of speed and precision. Greetings everyone, this is the first official global review for the GSXR-150, brought to you by Daytona Bangladesh. The GSXR franchise was introduced by Suzuki in 1984, and the GSXR-150 being launched in 2016. This is definitely one of the most enjoyable bikes in its class, and making the 150 segment not look slow. Now, I've been using this bike for 5 years now and over 50,000 kilometers. And for all I can say that this bike is a performer at all ends. We're proud to announce that we have come to a very beautiful landmark here in Bangladesh. For our global viewers, this place has the longest sea beach in the world, and we're here with our units to test them out and see how they do. Starting with the first fundamental for the GSXR-150, what makes this bike extra special. This bike is very lightweight, weighing about only 131 kilograms, making it very ideal to move around in the city. This bike is nimble and very easy to maneuver around with. Comparing it with its rival, it is the lightest in its segment, and this is one of the primary factors that makes this bike an extra. Now, this bike was mainly launched in Indonesia and targeted for the Asian continent. People of heights of around 5'7" to 5'9" would find it very ideal to ride around with. And if you're lightweighted, that's a plus point. Now, the reviews on the seating is a bit mixed. This bike has a seat height of about 785mm and a ground clearance of 160mm, making it very tour friendly. You can tour around and travel with it very easily. In mountain or beach trips, this bike is a wonder to ride. But this bike might feel a bit uncomfortable, or the seating might feel a bit uncomfortable in longer rides, but for short ride, it's just phenomenal. This bike has a full digital instrument cluster, making the cockpit a bliss to look at, and you have a lot of aftermarket options for the handlebar to the cockpit setup as well. So I would say the ergonomics of this bike is quite comfortable for day-to-day rides, and being lightweight makes it an extra, and for traveling, this bike is pure bliss. And for the ergonomics, it's very swappable. You can actually adjust the handlebar to different positions. You can do it in the stock ones or in the aftermarket ones as well. But you can customize the foot pegs as well in order to adjust your comfortable stance. So I think access to multiple ergonomics with this bike is a very helpful idea for the overall build. And most importantly, thanks to Daytona Bangladesh for giving us this grip. We've been using this grip in this tour, and I can suggest you this that this grip feels very firm and very comfortable to ride around in long rides. This bike has good ergonomics, and one of the major factors that really appeals to me, that being a sports bike, this bike has a very good turning radius. But over that, I have a very favorite factor about this bike, and that is the engine. Now this bike bars in very low numbers if you compare other sports bike in its segments, but the power output that it creates is very phenomenal. Now, in addition of the agility and the nimble and lightweight of the bike, I would say that the aerodynamics of this bike contributes largely to what it can do. Hitting triple digits is nothing for the GSXR-150. The bike is a completely different machine after the 5,000 RPM mark. The DOHC setup in the bike allows the bike to kick in higher revs in no time, reaching a top speed of about 160 kilometers per hour, which is phenomenal for this class. This bike does a 0 to 100 time under 7 seconds, and for such a small piston and for such a small engine, these numbers are crazy good. Another factor that would add to this fact is that this bike has very thin tire profile. You have a 130 section rear tire and you have a 90 section front tire, both with a 17-inch rim setup, allowing the bike to reach higher end power and allowing for quicker, higher revs. The overall factor which makes this bike special would be the power to weight ratio. Now the GSXR-150 being in the dock layout is already an upper hand. The other contenders in this market are in a sock layout. Now the 10-hole injection system allows for very good fuel efficiency. Though our country has very poor octane quality, and I hope this gets fixed very fast, this bike allows for 35 to 36 kilometers per liter in the city and over 45 kilometers per liter in the highway, making it one of the best in its class if maintained right. Now I know this bike requires a lot of maintenance. You have to clean that throttle body quite often, but I would say the injection system and the delivery of fuel and however it performs in the top end is a real contribution to its build. But the bike having an 11-liter fuel tank is a con in terms of traveling around. So I hope in the next variant or in the next bike they fix this section. Now, the GSXR-150 being very nimble and light is an upper hand, of course. But what keeps this bike grounded in the twisties on the weekend would be the front suspension setup. This bike has a telescopic front, which is very ideal for our country. Since the Bangladeshi terrains are uneven and we have a lot of uneven roads, I think the telescopic front suspension makes a lot of sense. You can switch to a USD setup, but the telescopic front suspension does absolutely amazing. Now, coming to another important area for the GSXR-150, it's the braking. A lot of people are misguided to the fact that this bike does not have a good braking system, but that is absolutely wrong. The body to weight ratio of this bike is one of the best in its segment, and this bike was meant for being in the track. Like, it's a track tool in the 150cc class. And of course, they have invested in a lot of R&D for the braking. And if you look at it this way, this bike torque steers easily because this is very lightweight. And a lightweight track tool requires a lot of maneuverability and a lot of experience to ride around with. And if you look at the addition of the ABS with this motorcycle, the ABS has contributed largely of how the GSXR behaves. The non-ABS GSXR might feel a bit nimble to brake with or might feel a bit shaky, but the ABS and the addition of it makes the GSXR very stable to stop with. And the bike being lightweight adds on to the fact that you can control the bike at any situation given that you're good with what you're doing. Now, I would specially thank Daytona Bangladesh for giving us the opportunity to ride with these brake pads. These brake pads are carbon made, and I would say in the long run of however it's performed so far, this brake pads felt absolutely amazing. So you guys can try it out anytime you want. I'm giving the link of the product in the description box below. And you can also try other products like this high Kevlar and carbon clutch disc. So they have a lot of options available in their page. You can go and check it out and you can try these products. The GSXR-150 has a 4-piston radial fixed caliper with a 290mm front disc and a 189mm rear disc, making this bike ideal to stop at any given power. Now, to sum everything up and to summarize this whole thing to you, the main pros for the GSXR would be great body agility, great handling response, best-in-class performance delivery, good braking and stability, keyless entry, looks and overall visual contrast being excellent, ABS being an add-on to the braking, and the best-in-class engine durability. The engine does not have excessive heating with the right engine oil use, and the exhaust note for the GSXR is excellent. This is one of the best sounding motorcycles in the 150cc class. And for the rear suspension, the feedback for the suspension is really good, and the adjustable handlebar system along with the overall suspension setup makes this bike really good to ride around with. And the bike comes with stock NK rims. Having JDM inserts of such kind makes this bike really reliable. And now for the cons for the motorcycle, the fuel system could be a bit better. The throttle body needs to be cleaned quite often in order to get good mileage. One of the other issues would be the engine oil amount is a bit unorthodox. 1300 ml of engine oil is a bit unorthodox, so that can be a problem to a few. The ball racers for the GSXR could be a bit better. It requires tweaking every now and then. The bike has a very small pillion seat and extensive rides for the pillion can be a bit hefty. Some riders might feel uncomfortable, but that is subjective. A few parts like the indicators, switch gears, few mundane parts could be a bit better, so I hope Suzuki fixes these things in the future. Some people might like overgrip tires for the Suzuki GSXR, but I think the IRC tires that come along with the bike does good enough. It's mainly track biased, so it does its wonders. So this was about it for the GSXR-150. I hope this video helped you understand the GSXR a bit better. We're going to come up with a lot more, so do stay connected with us on Facebook and Instagram. I will provide all the links in the description box below, so do stay connected. Thank you so much, ride safe and always wear a helmet.